Everyone is familiar with the 10 plagues. God brings 10 plagues on the Egyptians to compel them to allow the Jewish people to go free. But before the 10 plagues, which were miracles, of course, which were very powerful forces that convinced the Egyptians that the Jewish people have God on their side, but before the 10 plagues, you had another miracle where Aaron takes his staff and turns it into a snake, and then they replicate that, the magicians of Egypt, and then his staff swallows up their snakes. Why was this miracle necessary? And why this particular miracle of Aaron throwing his staff and the staff turning into a snake and then turning back into a staff? So the answer to this question is based on an understanding of what the 10 plagues were really all about. The 10 plagues were not just punishment for the evil decrees of the Egyptian government against the Jewish people to punish them for their terrible crime of slavery. That's not the real reason, because if God wanted to punish them, there were so many other ways he could have punished them. And if it was intended to get Pharaoh to let them go, one plague would have sufficed. But our sages teach us that the 10 plagues are really 10-step therapy, 10-plague therapy. Each plague brought them closer to realizing the truth about God, the truth about God's relationship with Israel, and the truth of the need to free them. So it's an educational process. But before the educational process, before God tries to rehabilitate them, because that's what punishment essentially is all about, not just punishment for the sake of punishment, God had to teach them another lesson. And the lesson was, Aaron was known for his love of his fellow. The Ethics of the Fathers tells us we should be a disciple of Aaron, who loved peace, pursued peace, loved everyone, and brought them close to the Torah. Even when you have to reprimand someone, even when you have to discipline someone, which is what God was doing to the Egyptians, you have to remember that you have to take Aaron's staff. Aaron's staff was a staff, yes, it might have been tough, but it was tough love. You have to have the approach before you go out and discipline someone, before you punish someone, before you use toughness. You have to establish yourself as the source of love, that your relationship to the other is based on Aaron's staff, someone who loved peace, pursued peace, and loved everyone, and brought them close to the Torah. The same thing is true about our departure from exile. And when we are working so hard to make the world ready for redemption, we have to know that the major force for redemption is the force of love, the force of Ahavat Yisrael, love of your fellow. And that will ensure that the 10-step therapy will be successful. It will penetrate and finally lead us to the ultimate redemption.